The Seven Wonderful Cats. In a pleasant little house beside a wide river there once lived a little old lady whose name was Dame Wiggins of Lee. Dame Wiggins was a very worthy old soul, but she was often unhappy because she was so very lonely. "What would I not give," she often said to herself, "to have someone here in my little house to keep me company. Someone with learning, perhaps, who could talk to me about the things wise men have written in books, or someone who could sing and keep me cheered up with music, or someone who could help me mend and sew, or even someone who would just amuse me with bright antics." One day a neighbor was passing by, and he spied Dame Wiggins of Lee sweeping off her doorstep. "Good morning to you, Dame Wiggins," he called, "and how are you today?" "Very well, and thank you," said the good dame, "except that I am such a lonesome old soul, and my knee hurts terribly at times. Besides that, the rats and the mice are about to eat me out of the house and home." "Aha!" said the neighbor, "rats and mice, say you? Then I have just the thing for you. I have 7 wonderful cats that you may have, and they will soon make short work of all your rats and mice." And sure enough, the very next day the neighbor sent his 7 wonderful cats to Dame Wiggins of Lee, and the name of every one of them was Tommy. Tommy. "Welcome, my fine cats," Dame Wiggins of Lee cried happily when she beheld them. "Now I shall not be lonely any more." "Indeed, and you shall not," said all the Tommies together, and they smiled brightly and wiggled their whiskers at her. "We hear that you may have many rats and mice, upon which we may make many good dinners." "There are far too many of them here," said the good dame, gently pleased to see what fine manners the Tommies had. "Follow me, my fine cats, and I will show you their holes." So they followed her through the little house and the little barn, and she pointed out all the rat and mouse holes to them. Then each Tommy settled down by a big hole and wiggled his whiskers fiercely. Every day this fierce-whiskered crew caught rats and mice, and at last the 7 wonderful cats went to Dame Wiggins and said, "Not a rat or a mouse is to be found around your little house or in your little barn. We have caught them all, or frightened them away." "Well done, my fine cats," said Dame Wiggins of Lee. As a reward, she gave each Tommy a big saucer of cream. Look at their smiling faces. "Now, my fine cats," said she when they had lapped up the last drop, "since the rats and the mice are gone, what do you wish to do?" "Now that our work is all done," said the 7 wonderful cats, "we should like to go to school." "Go to school!" cried Dame Wiggins. She was much surprised, for never before had she heard of cats going to school. "To be sure, if school you wish, to school you shall go." At school the 7 wonderful cats studied long and hard, so that they learned very fast, and soon they could read the words milk and rat and mouse, and could spell the word meow. The master thought he had never seen such wonderful cats, as indeed he had not, and he wrote a fine letter to Dame Wiggins telling her with what credit they were to her. But though she was glad to know how well they were doing, she was also very lonely without them. That is why, when it was almost winter, she sent them to come home. So home they came, and came in a very strange manner. Down the river to the house of good Dame Wiggins they rowed, each one in a little rowboat. "Oh, the dears," said Dame Wiggins of Lee, "did anyone ever before see such wonderful cats?" She welcomed them home, and they spoke to her in such a wise and learned manner that the good old lady was delighted. "Now that they are so educated," said she, "I shall never again be without wisdom in my little house." Then, very happy that they had learned so much in school, she ran out to the market to get some good things for their supper, and when she came back she found her 7 wonderful cats mending the parlor carpet, each handling his needle as briskly as a bee. "What wonderful cats they are!" she cried, "and now I shall never again be without someone to help me mend and sew." The next day she went to the market again, and when she came back, what do you think the 7 wonderful cats were doing? The river had frozen over during the night, and the 7 Tommies were having a fine time skating on the ice. So amusing did they look, and such funny falls did they take, and so happy were they, that good Dame Wiggins of Lee just sat down on the bank and laughed until she cried. "I shall never again be without someone to amuse me with bright antics," she said, as she dried the tears of her laughter from her eyes. By and by spring came, and the 7 wonderful cats began to take long strolls through the fields. In their strolls they were very careful not to disturb the little birds that were building nests. They were very well-mannered cats indeed, and never wanted to eat little birds as ordinary cats would. "My fine cats," said Dame Wiggins one morning, "if you'll all climb onto the big walnut tree and sit there like good cats, all 7 in a row, I am sure the little birds will teach you how to sing." So the 7 wonderful cats climbed the big walnut tree and sat there on a limb, all 7 in a row. And the meadowlarks and the bluebirds and the robins and many other birds came and gave them singing lessons because they were such good cats. So pleased was Dame Wiggins with their progress in music that she bought each of them a little trumpet to play on when they were tired of singing. And every night they played and sang for her until bedtime. "Ah me," said the good dame happily, "I shall never be without music again." One morning, when they were out visiting the little birds, they came upon a poor little sick lamb that had lost its mother. "How sad!" said the 7 wonderful cats. "We must help this poor little sick lamb and find its mother for it." So they hunted about and found a wheelbarrow. Then they put the little lamb on the wheelbarrow and wheeled it home. Dame Wiggins was overjoyed at their kindness. "You shall all have some sprats for your good deed," she promised. Then she hurried away to the field to look for the little lamb's mother. While she was away, the 7 wonderful cats turned down the covers and warmed the sheets and put the poor little lamb safely to bed. The dame could not find the old mother sheep, so she came back home, and when she saw what the 7 wonderful cats had done, she was well pleased. "I shall never be without a nurse should I fall ill," she said happily. The next morning, when the dame came downstairs early, she noticed that not a cat was about. Before long, however, there was a great fuss and commotion outside. The dame ran to the door and looked out, and what do you think she saw? Here came her 7 wonderful cats, each one riding upon the back of a sheep, and driving a whole flock of sheep before them. They had gone in search of the sheep, for they were sure that the lamb's mother must be in the flock somewhere. "Well done, my fine cats!" cried Dame Wiggins of Lee, and she was unable to hide her joy when the little sick lamb cried "Bah!" and jumped out of bed and ran straight to its mother. The farmer who owned the sheep soon noticed that they were gone from the pasture and came in search of them. He stepped up to the dame's door, his dog Tray at his heels, and knocked with his crook. "Good morning, Dame Wiggins," he said, when the old lady stuck her head out of the door. "Have you seen my sheep?" "Yes, indeed," said Dame Wiggins. "My 7 wonderful cats have just taken them back to their pasture." And she told him how they had found the sick lamb, and cared for it, and found its mother. "What wonderful cats!" said the farmer. "I must reward them." So when the 7 wonderful cats came back from taking the sheep to the pasture, there was the farmer waiting for them. He had hitched up his team of horses to his wagon, and he gave them all a ride to his farmhouse. The farmer, for their kindness, gave them a wonderful dinner of field mice and raspberry jam. And for dessert, they had all the cream they could drink. They were so pleased with their dinner, they decided to give him some fine music, and straightway began singing and blowing their trumpets in their very best manner. "Very good, my fine cats," the farmer said, laughing heartily and holding his hands to his ears. "Dame Wiggins must be deaf to listen to such grand and beautiful music." "Now, if it please you," said the cats to the farmer, "we must be getting home." "Very well," laughed the farmer, and put them into his big wagon again and took them home. For their kindness to his lamb, and for making him laugh so much, he gave them a big ham and many other presents. "Oh, my fine cats, what a wonderful big ham you have!" cried Dame Wiggins of Lee when they showed her all their presents. "Now, come in to supper and sit down with me. Surely I shall never want for anything so long as I have my 7 wonderful cats."